Perfect. So, our first question to you guys essentially is, what's your connection to Ladywood and why did you choose to run in the area?
Do you want to start, Deb?
Yes, I'm a resident and I decided to run because I realised that Ladywood needed representation, that we weren't being represented by our councillors, and I decided, well, going through the issues that I'm going through, I found that there was no support, and I decided, well, that obviously because of this regeneration, it looks like they're trying to remove all the residents from this area without actually supporting them. So I stood up and I took on a case against the council, and I decided, well, I won that strikeout case. I decided, well, I'm going to go for councillor and to support other residents in the area and businesses.
That's really good.
You. What?
No, I'm so glad to hear that because you rarely hear about cases being won against the council. So that's amazing. How about yourself, Gary?
I've been here for 3.5 years. Involved with Ladywood Unite over because I had some experience where I previously lived in neighbourhood planning. And, as you know, I've got a dog, so I go to the park near here. Then I sort of read about the redevelopment, which I was somewhat concerned about. So I've got involved in that, and then so that is a driver for standing for council because of how I see it, and also my general frustration with how this council operate is another driver behind why I'm standing. That's my summary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that links with a lot of people who have joined Ladywood Unite. I think a lot of us are frustrated that we're having to sit back and not be able to do anything, unfortunately, and not have our say. So yeah, that's great. What's your understanding of the regeneration?
Are we going to go me first or later? Or I'll go first. Okay. So the regeneration is it's a very large one, and the council have taken a very large one to sort of get economies of scale and to get money in, which they might not otherwise have gotten with a smaller series of redevelopments. If we look at actually what has happened up until now, a contract has been signed. The council have announced that they have received £47 million for the upgrade of existing properties in the towers. That has gone in, I presume, into the budget. So that gives them a plus of 47 odd million. And nothing else so far has happened. But they did just announce last week a budget where they were no longer in bankruptcy and they would be running a surplus. And I presume that 47 million forms part of that. So, at the moment, I can see that sort of explains why development.
Gary, can I just come in there, Gary?
Yeah.
What I'm concerned about, you had about the money there for the budget and that. Can you explain to me roughly why are they putting solar panels in existing places in Ladywood at the moment with this regeneration going through? And I know 2 or 3 people who have already had solar panels put on the roofs. So how can they justify doing that with the predicament we're in at the moment?
Yeah, so it seems that, there's quite a lot of this sort of activity of, refurbishment as well as solar panels going on with no clear idea as we stand today as to what is being demolished and what is not. So, your question is very valid in the sense that, you don't, it seems like a waste. It may be a waste of money because they may then say we're going to demolish these buildings. But, they've delayed the master plan. None of us really know how this all stands, but it does seem like they'll probably end up looking to demolish buildings that they've just upgraded.
Yeah.
Well, I,
Doesn't make sense.
yeah. What I think is going on is the council, from my understanding, when I took on my case, I asked a very prominent person to come out and to represent me because I didn't have representation. I removed my solicitors, and he said, well, Ladywood is going to be gentrified and they're going to start up where Vincent Street is. Now, they're quite adept to spending money and then actually knowing that what the outcome is going to be for the future is that they're going to recoup that money when they change the areas. So them putting in solar panels or refurbing the bathrooms or putting in doors and windows and stuff, they have to do all this, but they've delayed doing it for years. But they're not interested in saving these properties. They have a different outcome for what Ladywood is going to be.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you. And as I mentioned earlier, hopefully you've had a chance already to take a look at the red lines. This question is directed to you both. Will you commit on record to fully supporting all of Ladywood Unite's red lines as outlined on our website?
Yes.
Yes.
Brilliant. Super glad to hear that. And what would you both do to prevent unnecessary demolition and increase social and affordable housing? You don't both have to answer. It can be either or.
The
So,
council. Go ahead, Gary.
no, go ahead, Deborah. Sorry, I just wanted. Go ahead.
The council needs to show a clear plan that actually these houses that need to be pulled down or properties that need to be pulled down, it's in the best interest, and not because they've decided they're not going to maintain their own buildings. Because there is a big problem that I have evidence that they're in breach of building regulations. This is by BESA, the building regulations. So they have to prove, well, this is in the best interest of the community that these buildings need to be pulled down. But then they have to look and think, well, were we maintaining these buildings? Was there a lack of maintenance to the buildings, and was it caused by the council? That is the reason why we've gone into this issue of demolishing the buildings.
Mhm.
Also, if it does need to be pulled down, or people need to be, there needs to be a regeneration, people should not be paying for, should not be put into additional financial costs.
Not at all. So what is it that you do to prevent this?
Can you repeat the question again, just so I have it exactly, Leila?
Yeah, of course I can. What would you do to prevent unnecessary demolition and increase social and affordable housing?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think there's when you say unnecessary demolition, what do you mean?
So there are some houses in Ladywood that were built sort of in the last 15 years that have solar panels, they're brand new houses essentially. Those houses don't necessarily have to be knocked down. They don't have any structural damage, no mold, that kind of thing. So that's what we mean by unnecessary demolition.
Okay, I mean, if I flip it around to necessary demolition, you're talking about, you think that there are buildings that definitely need to come down?
So there are buildings that aren't being used in Ladywood that can come down and can be used. However, they're not being sort of considered as main like sites for building at the moment. Rather, the developer is considering flattening down all of Ladywood currently. They haven't confirmed yet 100% what will stay and what will go, but initially, in the beginning of the consultation period, they were telling residents that they will have to demolish everything first. So it is at the moment it is it's we're all very unsure of what exactly will happen. But if there is unnecessary demolition taking place, what would you do? So for example, Deborah mentioned that you know, a lot of this is, I think you mentioned, Deborah, a lot of the buildings aren't what did you
It's
mention?
not fit for purpose
Not
because the
fit for
councils
purpose.
have actually not maintained their own properties. What
Exactly.
I think, yes, what I do believe is that they need to actually ensure that like for like is given to residents. So if they do remove a property, then they have to look and think, well, these properties are fine. There was no issue with taking down this property. So you have to give them like for like. They shouldn't be incurring additional costs because of something that is put on them because of this regeneration.
No.
Sorry, can I just interrupt there, Debbie, please?
Yes.
Regarding the like-for-like situation, there's no guarantee at all what they're going to do, and we all know, as well as everybody else, there's never going to be a like-for-like situation because it's going to be unaffordable for the people in Ladywood to upgrade to other properties and for it to be affordable for them. And the
Yeah.
situation we're in at the moment, none of us are clear. This is 4 years down the line. Where is it going to go and whatever? But they're offering this like for like as a sort of I don't know if you want to call it an upgrade or whatever you want to go. But at the end of the day, it's not going to happen. So I think we need to clarify what is the plan and what it is going to be when it comes out in the open, what the offers are going to be, and they need to be in concrete, basically.
It does.
Because
It
I
needs to
think,
be transparent, correct?
yeah, because at the moment nobody's none the wiser. Yeah, I'm speaking on behalf of myself and other people. Like we live in Masonets, and how are they going to give us like for like in a Masonette with a front and back garden?
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. I live in a masonette as well, and that's another issue that we have, and that I've actually been representing residents in the tower blocks, in the masonettes, going out, taking on their cases, winning cases for them. Because what's going on, the council is, when it comes to the council, they're not transparent. It's like you're up against a brick wall. You can't get through to any departments to find out information, and then the complaints procedure you can't access. So you are correct. They need to hold a transparency meeting with us so we actually know what is going on. And in relation to the only people that knows what's going on is the council and their contractors. They're keeping us in the dark until the end. They're going to say, well, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have to do with this. Or they're labeling us persistent complainers when we're asking questions. But you are correct. We don't know anything. And it is important that they have to be more transparent with us so we know what's going on.
But Deb, just another question, please. Well, surely it's got to be legally binding for them to tell these people what is going on, because obviously they're interfering with people's mental health and other issues. Because none of us have got any clarity. Like a suggestion was to some people to take the roofs off, to turn the masonettes into houses as a possibility. But at the moment, we've got a lot of residents by us, especially elderly people, are really, really 100% concerned of how long is this going to take before a decision is made, and how can we force it so at least we've got some clarity
I
of
understand what you're
when
saying.
it's going to happen.
I understand what you're saying, and you're right. There is legally binding, but what the council is like, as I said to you, taking on the case against the council, I had to represent myself in the end. I went up against the council and won a strikeout. I had to then take on my own solicitor because they're all in it together. So what we have to do is have local residents representing us that aren't afraid of the council, because the council is going to use terminology that is going to incite fear. And they're going to be placing their legal team around them so we don't access this information. So we need people that are local residents that are standing up against the council, are pushing back against the council to say we want more access. We want to have this information, and we need to have these people. We need to have the representatives within Ladywood that knows about Ladywood, not somebody coming in from outside who doesn't have an interest, a vested interest within Ladywood. And I totally understand about the mental health issues that's going on, the financial problems that this is causing. So that is why local representatives within Ladywood that aren't afraid of taking on the council needs to be the ones that are going forward, supporting the businesses, the community, the stakeholders of Ladywood, so that we're retaining, upgrading Ladywood and keeping the skills and talent in the local businesses within Ladywood. But the council needs to be taken on. And this is what we're standing for, to say we are ready to take on these issues against the council.
I definitely think
100%.
that's a huge strength that you have, is the fact that you are local residents. You've met so many of Ladywood residents already. You've been to some events and meetings, so that is definitely a huge strength of yourselves as independent candidates.
Yeah.
We
might
also
add-
go on again.
Sorry, Leila, I might add that, you know, central to all of this is that they haven't disclosed the contract that they have with the builders, and they you know, they're arguing commercial confidentiality. This is something that needs to be disclosed, and I think that they're very much over egging not disclosing things, as the recent case in Druids Heath came up, where the viability study was not disclosed in its entirety, which led to them withdrawing. I have them at the Information Commissioner's office at this moment about this matter, because we can't, you know, when we talk about like for like, we need to know what the financing arrangements are, and we need to know what money there is to play with. And as it stands at the moment, they're just not disclosing anything at all. Apart from that 47 million figure, by the way, which I have also brought up with the council. It's like, why did you disclose that if you're not disclosing anything else? So, and that, you know, like, as I see it, if we can get onto a proper discussion with the council and with the builders, and with, you know, the amount of houses has increased from 7,500 to 12,500. I cannot see why we cannot perform as to the principles and red lines of Ladywood Unite with the amount of buildings that is being proposed to go up. Because, you know, it's a lot of money. They're increasing it from 6,500 to 12,500, another, or 7,500 to 12,500, another 5,000 houses. So the money really needs to go into taking care of the existing residents, both private and council tenants. You know, and they are two different things. Now, as it stands at the moment, the council tenants are actually better off, in the sense that the council is saying, oh, you can stay here. The private tenants are being offered really nothing more than a compulsory purchase, which is, you know, one thing. So both things need addressing, but I'm particularly concerned for the private owners who are being told basically to leave Ladywood.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
Yeah.
onto the compulsory purchase orders, what is your opinion on CPOs?
Well, CPOs are traditionally used, you know, for if you've got to build a train track or something, you know, an infrastructure project. And I just find it very I think that they're going to run into some legal issues concerning knocking houses down to build another house where they've just knocked one down. I think this is at the extreme end of the CPO process, and that there will be plenty of ability to challenge the CPOs in courts on human rights grounds, etc. If I become a councillor, I'm going to go to these guys and say, right, I want 0 CPOs. I want you to satisfy these people. First of all, minimize what you're doing. In the original report they wrote, they talked about all the housing as if it was all poor in Ladywood. We know that that's not true. We know that there's high quality housing in Ladywood and poor quality housing in Ladywood. So first of all, we can talk about keeping the good quality housing to reduce CPOs. And then where they do it, where they really feel they need to do it, I want offers made to homeowners that they can't refuse before a CPO. And again, there is money in this redevelopment to deal with these issues.
Can I just comment to that one, Gary? The situation about this, basically they're guessing on what they're going to offer people or not, but somewhere along the line, the head chiefs know what's going on along the line. But the situation, what is me more than anything, you're saying the council tenants are probably better off than we are in the moment because they've been told basically they're going to offer them a property. But there's people like yourself, I'm bringing Masonlets into the equation again, is because there's people in the Masonlets who own the property. So, it's a bad situation that they know more what's going on than what we do and what our values are compared to theirs. Because at the moment, they could just sit back and say, well, whatever happens, we're going to be offered something. Also, who own our properties, we ain't got a clue what's going on at all. So don't you think the balance for the places where it's like a masonette, they should get clarity on what prioritises first? Because obviously you can't you can't just move somebody out of a property who's a leaseholder or whatever before the council people or what. We've got no clarification what's going on at all.
So have you got clarification that as a leaseholder, I think the differentiation here is an owner a long-term leaseholder in the Masonettes?
Yeah, 100 years plus.
So that you count as an owner, right? And subject to CPO.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that situation, you're not being offered anything new. They're just going to buy off you and tell you to go away. That's they've said they'll give you first refusal on a new property, which is so what? But that's what the situation is, and that's what I think is unacceptable. I also people buy in Ladywood for a reason. There's lots of I don't see why these people should come and take all the profit. People come and bought saying, I'm close to the city centre, I'm buying a property, I think the value is going to go up. And then we've got this situation of some other guys coming up through compulsory purchase and going, I'm going to take all your profit. And I just really dislike the whole thing.
Thank you. I agree with that comment.
Just for the sake of time, sorry, we've got 2 more questions and we've got about 8 minutes.
Right. Okay.
So sorry about that, Deborah.
Okay.
So if elected, how should residents hold you accountable if you fail to uphold any of the commitments that you've mentioned in this meeting? For example, would you support regular public forums, publish voting records, or a recall style pledge?
I'm not sure that it takes on that format when we get into the council. So, as you obviously we will be 2 of 100. So if you look at the red lines, okay, as they stand today, the first thing that I would want to do getting into the council is to get a copy of the contract and really understand it. Because, you know, how do we know? If we don't know what's in the contract, how do we know what is plausible in the red lines to be able to do? So this, you know, I regard the red lines as something that is an objective, okay, that will be achieved by us going in there as councillors and going as far as we can do. I want, you know, Ladywood Unite, as well, they do formal stuff dealing with the council. They also do protests. So it's kind of like an amalgamation of everything. And I don't think that, you know, we can sit here and just go, we're going to go in and clean up on all the red lines and everything's going to be fine and dandy, because we all know it's a fight, right?
Absolutely.
So all I can say is, really, you know, we know what the red lines are. We've explained our views. We will go in there and do what we can. You know, we're sort of yin and yang, Deborah and I. We have different people, we're two different people, two different sets of skills. And, you know, we think that they're complementary and that we can go in and do as good a job as anybody in the circumstance.
No, of course, but to go back to the question, it's residents would like to know how to hold you accountable to what you're doing.
You know, I mean,
well, basically, we are going to be representing the residents. We are residents of the residents, the businesses, stakeholders of Ladywood. And if we're ignoring you, then you hold us accountable and say, vote of no confidence. We don't want you.
Okay.
We aren't represented by any parties. We are the voices, we are the representatives of Ladywood. I'm a leaseholder. I've been walking around these areas since 2015, telling people there is going to be a compulsory purchase on Ladywood. Look at the area, it's underinvested. We want to retain our young people, send them to college, to university, to come back and stop in this area. And if we are ignoring the people that we are elected to support, then put a vote of no confidence against us.
Okay.
Yeah, put another way, I wouldn't be doing this. My only motivation for doing this is to achieve what we're talking about. And so, you know, you know, I have met one of the existing councillors who just doesn't really seem to get it at all. So, you know, will hold us accountable. Yeah, I mean, I'd rather just resign if, like, I failed. You know what I mean?
No, I understand, and I appreciate your obviously commitment as stakeholders as well of the community in order to put all these red lines in place as best as you can. Obviously, we know it's a fight and we know it will take a while, but as long as residents know that you're trying and pushing, then that's all that matters. A final question for you guys just before we end the meeting. So, Ladywood Unite endorses a organisation called Brummies United. At the moment, that organisation are currently asking candidates to sign their Brummies United Against Racism pledge online. Have you, or are you planning on signing this pledge that states candidates will actively support or participate in local action to stand against politics of racism and division?
Yes, I will do that.
Yes, I will.
That's perfect.
I will definitely endorse that.
Thank you both so much for your time in this meeting. It's been a pleasure to have you, and your answers aligned so well with everything that we're doing at Ladywood Unite, and it definitely helps that you're residents and people that we're very familiar with as well. Is there anything else you'd like to say in like the last 2 minutes that we've got in the meeting?
I'd just like to butt in quick and say, Gary, well presented, and so did Debbie. At least we're on the same wavelength, hopefully. Hopefully we can work together and go forward.
Look forward to it.
Thank you very much.
Likewise. Thank you all for attending. I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Right.